Hey folks, good Thursday afternoon. It's April 2nd, Dr. Jeff Camarda, and I apologize once again for the poor quality of the video. I think Zoom is overloaded according to media reports, and we'll look to use another platform beginning tomorrow. So if any of you have invested in Zoom, you might want to take a close look at what's going on at the company. There may be some trouble ahead. So I wanted to spend most of today's videos clarifying the point that we made yesterday. We're not going to cash now. We haven't sold anything today. We did make some trades in Caesar earlier in the week, but we haven't made the call to go to cash. We just voted to have the flexibility to do so should we think it is prudent to protect our clients' money going forward and ultimately make more money. And if we did do this, the intent would be to sell at high points in a bear market, so-called bear market rally, sell it when it's higher, and get out, and then we'll go lower, and then maybe lower, and get back in at lower prices, so that we wind up invested at the end of this process, but we have more shares at cheaper prices than if we just held on through, and ultimately would make more money when the market recovers, as we expect it ultimately will. So I just want to let you folks know I've got a number of emails, so thank you all for your outpourings of confidence and so forth, which I'm very gratified by. So I just want you guys to know this is a strategy, a trading strategy to try to profit from the bear market that we just have added to our arsenal, but we haven't pulled the trigger yet. So hopefully that gives some clarity to where we're at. We're not going to cash now. We're not. The market's been relatively stable this week. You know, again, I think it probably will go lower, but it may go higher before then. And if it does, and it looks like we're in a downtrend, we may go ahead and sell some or part, or rather part or all, depending on how we read the conditions. So that's what we're doing here. Oil rallied a little bit today on some rumors, really, and I wouldn't call them anything more than that the Saudis and the Russians are going to make a little bit nicer than they have. I do want to, give you my comforting belief that we will get through this as investors and as a nation. This is just one of many challenges that has befallen the human race. On the other end, we'll get through it and make a lot of money. It's just a dark time, and we have to be careful with our health. Please be careful with your health. And be careful with our money, which is what Kim and I and the rest of the team are trying very ardently to do. In the meanwhile, and as a diversion, I just wanted to mention that I have lately been reading Boccaccio, the Cameron, or the Camarone, maybe. And if those of you that aren't familiar with the title, it's one of the classics really in Western literature, written at the very beginning of the Italian Renaissance, circa 1350, I think. Boccaccio's story, I think, is there are 10 days, and I think there are 10 young people from Florence that flee to socially distance themselves from the Black Plague, which was beginning to ravage Italy and Europe at that time, into the countryside, and to pass the time, each of them tells one story a day. That for 10 days, for 100 tales, and the Camarada, which is obviously comes from 10. So really, really interesting, great stories, classics of literature. I would refer you to the Rebhorn, I think, is the translation that's most amenable to modern Americans. A Rebhorn translation, if you want to take a look. They're great stories. So it had been a big influence on Shakespeare and Chaucer, who wrote the Canterbury Tales. So I think you'd find that really interesting should you choose to delve in. And that's it for now. Again, those of you that want to communicate with me, you notice I'm extremely responsive. And the best way to get me is to email me, j@camarda.com if you need me. You'd probably be amazed how quickly I respond to it. And again, I apologize for the glitches in this video. I can see them as they're being recorded. Kim, we didn't have time to retool tech here, and hopefully we'll have a smoother video for you tomorrow. That's it for this Thursday. Stay healthy, stay positive. We'll get through this, and talk to you tomorrow. Dr. Camarda signing off.